getting to know those guys, and they were all very good to me. See their joy, to feel it, to know that all that hard work and effort and dealing with the pressure of New York and the media and Dad and George and Reggie and all that stuff that was going on, to be there and see that it still gives me goosebumps.
After that, your dad was on top of the world. He's making, Miller Lite commercials. He was a celebrity, above and beyond a ball player. Kind of a little bit ahead of his time. Nowadays, the young generation is, they all do commercials. Guess what? Not all of them did commercials. Name It did commercials. Your dad did commercials. George was a natural. Steinbrenner, Mr. Steinbrenner, but not everybody did commercials.
No, they didn't, and he did lots of different ones, but those Miller Lite, especially the group ones, were his absolute favorite. I always teased him that he would have paid them to do those commercials because they were so much fun. The guys were drinking the whole time. Yeah. They were doing those commercials, and it was a lot of fun. He made lasting friendships on those commercials with so many guys that he might not have, hung out with otherwise. And he's had so many stories about that stuff. And yeah, he was on sitcoms and movies and
Saturday Night Live.
Sure, he was the only manager to ever host Saturday Night Live. He was on the cover of SI 7 times. He was on the cover of Time magazine. He was recently mentioned in Ocean's 13 and American Gangster, and it was surreal walking the streets of New York with him. Was so much fun. Guys would be cleaning a window on the 3rd story of a building and scream down, "Give him hell, Billy!" as we're walking down the street, because you could recognize him because he had his little cowboy hat on and his iconic walk, and cabbies would roll down their windows and say the same thing. It was special because,
we loved him. We loved him because he was the embodiment of New York, and he connected people, guys like me. He connected. I mean, I'm not old enough to go back to the glory days of Mickey Mantle. He was a teammate of Mickey Mantle. So yeah, when you look at it, he won in 51, 52, 53. Then he goes into the military, 54 and 55. Maybe they would have won in 55 if he was there, right? I mean, the Brooklyn Dodgers. Well, I guess we got to give him one, right?
He got back for 55.
Oh, at the end? Okay.
Yeah, but when they won, he didn't take a ring that year. He didn't want a second place ring because he already had rings from 50, right. 51, 52, right. 53, where he was MVP. I mean, his first 4 years in the big leagues, he got a World Series ring, a championship ring. So 55, he didn't want a second place ring. And in 56, he got another one. Yeah. And, it's funny. People ask me all the time, why New York? Why did he love New York? I'm like, let's look at his first 4 years. That's why. Right. Because my father loved to win. That's all he cared about was winning. Right. All that mattered to him. I don't know if Yankee fans know that he took less pay at times to go back to the Yankees. Other teams, Cleveland offered him a lot of money plus a draw of the gate because everywhere he went, attendance went way up. Yeah. Well, he turned that down to go back and be a Yankee because that's where his heart was. Think about how neat it must have been back in those days. Dad, Mickey, and Whitey, the three amigos, would go out to Toots Shores and hang out with the Rat Pack, with Gleason and Sinatra, Sammy Davis Jr. And those guys were asking, what's Ted Williams like? All these baseball stories, right? And Dad and Mickey were like, well, what's it like dating Angie Dickinson? And, you know, asking the celebrity stories, but they all bonded, and it was a regular thing. You know, years later, 76, I get to meet Frank Sinatra. I saw him sitting in one of the Yankee games and went to get his autograph on my Yankee hat. And he asked me how I'd been able to get in that section. And I said, well, my father's with the Yankees. And he looked at me, he says, wait a minute, are you Billy's son? And I said, yes, sir. And he's, you sit down next to me. And so I sat in the aisle. He was in the aisle seat. I sat in the aisle 3 rows behind the dugout. Okay. You know, somebody's about to tell me to leave, right? And sure enough, you know, one of the guys comes and asks me to leave, and Frank looks at him and says, he's with me. Oh, yes, sir, Mr. Sinatra. You know, if Frank says you're with him, you're okay.
Relationship with Joe D. I mean, they weren't contemporaries in a sense on the ball field, but you know, tell us about their relationship.
Oh no, Joe was really good to Dad. You know, because when he signed, you know, Joe was at the very tail end of his career, and was a big brother to Dad, you know, because they were both from the Bay Area, both had played in the Pacific Coast League. And so when Dad got there, and they're both Italian, you know, Joe would take Dad out to dinner and buy him a steak and kind of took him under his wing a little bit. Mickey told me the best stories about that, because Mickey was shy. You know, people don't realize that. You know, the Mantle Boys and I talk a lot, and they talk about, people say, if Mickey didn't drink so much, he would have been so much better. I'm not sure of that, because I think that liquid courage helped him a little bit in that crazy New York society. But Mickey said he had a hard time even talking to Joe as a rookie, because he was married to Marilyn Monroe. He was the biggest celebrity in the game. But Dad, on the other hand, would joke around with him and play practical jokes on him. And Joe D loved that Dad treated him just like one of the guys.